Happy Sunday morning, everyone. I hope you're having a blessed day. It's sunny, but it's super hazy still here, but enough to make you squint. I need my little sunglasses on top of my glasses, but this isn't going to be a very long video, so just bear with me squinting. But I wanted to let everyone know that the church decided to vote today, and Steve did a really good lesson for Sunday school, and then for the morning service he was preaching about the 23rd Psalm, and about the sheep and the shepherds, and he broke it down about how the sheep, we can use those lessons from it and apply them to our life as as Christians. Anyway, he did a wonderful job. I will, for those of you that were interested, the church actually tapes those services, so I will put that link for the service in my community tab, and I hope that you guys can find it, the ones that were asking me about, if I could post those. That's the only way that I know that I can do it, is to put it in that community tab. So I'll do that here in just a little bit. And what happened was, Steve and I went down into the basement of the church, and first of all, they were the whole church was told that if they had any questions they wanted to ask, that Steve would, it was time, if you had questions, to ask, to do it today. It was before the vote, and Steve waited a little bit, and Steve didn't ask. It was the guy that was leading the service, Danny, and nobody had any questions or anything, didn't say anything. And I was like, oh, that's I thought there would be questions, but there wasn't. And so when when it was time to vote, like I said, Steve and I went into the basement and we waited until we were told it was okay, because we didn't want to see who voted and who didn't vote, and we didn't want to be there for if there was discussion about us. Excuse me. It's extremely hard today on the church. The old pastor, like I said, was there for 35 years. And, when he passed away, and it was so hard on his wife. Bless her heart, she's still coming. She's still doing the jobs that she was doing. His daughter is the only one that can play the piano at the church. We don't have anyone that can play, that I know of, that can play guitars or anything. The only instrument played is the piano. And I was just hoping that the old devil wouldn't fight her, and that she would continue to come, since she's the only person that we have. She's got a beautiful voice. You'll hear her singing today, and she does a beautiful job. But so we came back. They told us to come upstairs, and we walked through through the doorway, and Danny up front said, well, here comes our new pastor. So they had us go up in front, and people fellowshiped, shook our hand, and welcomed us. But like I said, it was so hard on so many of them. One of the ladies had been going there for 34 years, and a lot of them had been there for many years, but I think she had been there the longest. And then, of course, the old pastor's wife, she was broken, and I felt, one of the gentlemen asked me after church if I was okay, and I said, yeah, I'm fine. I said, it's just that I'm kind of torn between grieving, for the pastor, seeing the grief on so many people's faces, and tears, running down their faces. And I have a personality that stuff breaks me. It hurts me to see someone else hurt. So, between that and being thankful to God for using Steve, and for being, I felt welcomed, and I love my church. Um, I, it's just home to me, and the people have been so kind, and I know that things will be okay. Things will work out, and maybe the church will grow. It's just a very small congregation, but the people that are there are so sweet that I'm sure that God is going to bless them. They were faithful servants, and I was thinking about the lesson, what Steve preached today, about the shepherds and keeping watch over the flock, and that was perfect in my opinion for today, because the church was without a shepherd. And God, if you haven't watched the video that I made before this one, go back and watch that, and you'll kind of understand. If you didn't watch, you'll understand a little bit about how God worked in all of that, and how we ended up over at this new church. But God has really shown that this was His will, through me, through Steve. It's Yes, He has blessed, and so Steve is now the pastor of our church. And just like the flock that needs the shepherd, the church needs their shepherd to, lead them and guide them along life's way. And Steve is up for that. On the way home, we were talking about when we first got married over 40 years ago. We were both so shy, so backward about things, especially anything to get in front of people and speak. And I wasn't even the type of person that could go to the store, like, if even when I lived at home and say mom needed a gallon of milk or whatever, I was so backward that I would never volunteer to go. I never wanted to go. I was just that extremely backward. And I said, boy, God has really opened Steve and I both up. Here I can do a video, and I can speak to people, and I can approach people, and him the same. Yeah, I told one of the other guys at church this morning, I said, he was saying something about Steve, his personality. And I said, it's going to take him a little bit, because we didn't know anybody here at all. We didn't know anyone. And now, we have to, both of us have to be open, more friendly, not so shy. And we have things that we need to do. And I said, oh yeah, Steve's coming out of his shell. You guys are seeing it. We had a graduation party at the church yesterday, and it was actually the old pastor's grandson that graduated, and we had such a good time. And I went over and sat at a table after Steve and I ate. One guy came over and sat beside Steve, so I got up and went over at the table. There was 3 other women, and I said, hey ladies, and I just sat down and made myself at home, and we had the best fellowship. It was so nice. And so I thank God that He has opened doors. And it's only, if you guys knew me, really knew me, you would know, like I said, how backward I was. Really an introvert, a bad introvert. There would be times, matter of fact, we went to a chili cook-off probably 2 years ago, and it took all I had to go to that chili cook-off. There was a lot of people there, and I knew there was going to be a lot of people there, and I would have rather had my tooth pulled than to go. And I'm just being totally honest. Just such an introvert. And So in those 2 years, God's been working on me. Um, he has made me understand and see that I need His Word every single day. Not that I prayed constantly, even back then, but I needed His Word, and He showed me. Even when there was times when I couldn't read, if my eyes were bothering me, or whatever, physically I didn't feel good, I would put my headphones on and, like, to cook or to do dishes or to just lay on the couch. I would put a Bible reading app, and I would listen to the Bible being read. So through all of that and all of the hardships that we have endured in the last 3 years, especially through losing people to death, and just losing people in general that have stepped away from us, that I counted, I relied on people to be my joy instead of fully relying on God to be my joy. And God has shown me all of that. I am the joy. He's the one that renews us every day. His mercies are endless. And so He has grown me. He has shown me, and He has loved me through some very hard times. So I'm so thankful. And I just pray that God will continue to lead us, to grow us, to use us, and especially my husband. I know that Steve is going to listen, and whatever God leads him, that's what he'll do. He's got a humble heart, and God is so great. He is so great, and I'm so thankful. There's nothing that I'd rather be than a child of God. So I just wanted to give everyone that news. I knew that some of you were, really excited and waiting. Sorry I'm trying to hold my phone on a selfie stick and it's wobbly. I'm wobbly. But anyway, God bless you guys. And the ones of you that love the Lord, and you don't have anywhere to go to serve Him, try to find somewhere, because I'm telling you, it truly does make a difference in your life. You can study and you can read and you can do all those things at home, because I've done that. But being with brothers and sisters, even if there would only be a few, it gives you a peace. It gives you growth, and it's nice to have something in common with people that believe the way that you believe. So yeah, find you a good church, Bible-based, teaches the Word of God, and I'm sure that we'll be back real soon here on the channel. I've been having a desire. I used to do a Bible study on here. Been having a desire to do something again. So if God wants me to, that's what I'll do. I'm gonna pray about it for a little bit and make sure. But yeah, so enjoy this beautiful Sunday, and we love you all.